doses ended, withdrawal only lasted around 2 days. Caffeine. 2 of the 4 monkeys failed to initiate self-administration of caffeine. 1 initiated and 1 failed to initiate self-administration, although priming with automatic injections caused the latter to begin self-administration. The pattern of self-administration of caffeine was in all cases sporadic and irregular, resulting in no deaths or noticeable withdrawal effects. Morphine. This experiment lasted a long time and was the substance the experimental team had the most experience with. 11 monkeys were used and 3 failed to self-administer, but after a little encouragement, all became drug dependent. During mechanical failures, the monkeys showed withdrawal symptoms and were observed rapidly pushing the lever, frantically trying to get another hit. This part of the study lasted 16 months, and apart from being morphine addicts and being dopey compared to their control counterparts, the general health of the participants was good. It was seen that for the first 7 to 8 weeks, the participants increased their dose, eventually evening out, although 1 increased the dosage for 30 weeks. No one died during this substance study. Amphetamines. All 5 of the monkeys initiated self-administration, and not long showed signs of hallucinations, plucking the fur off their arms, but none died. However, by the end of the study period, the participants were noticeably distressed. Cocaine. 4 monkeys were used to study the effects of cocaine. Initially, only half began to self-administer. They found that after 30 days, 1 of the monkeys had died of an overdose. In order to increase the length of the study, limits to amounts of cocaine was implemented. After the 30-day period, the monkeys began withdrawing, stopped eating and showed signs of hallucinations. Some bit off their fingers and scratched off their skin. They pressed both levers and were noticeably confused. Ethanol. 4 of the 5 monkeys in this experiment initiated self-administration, but for the first few months self-administration was interrupted by days of voluntary abstinence. These gaps would reduce as time went on, and the reactions from the animals was similar to what would be expected in a drunk human: drowsiness, lack of spatial awareness and tiredness. When withdrawal was tested, the animals became sick, experienced tremors and even showed signs of hallucinations. 2 would die, but not from overdose, instead asphyxiation during their sleep from respiratory obstruction. Codeine. This involved 5 monkeys and only lasted for 8 weeks. 4 started self-administration, with only 1 needing to be initiated by the use of the automatic doses. The dose rate increased as each subject continued to self-administer, but after 6 weeks the first monkey died due to convulsions because of overdose, and by week 8 all of the others were dead, also from severe convulsions. Now the experiment highlighted some interesting results, because previous experiments had made use of psychologically dependent animals, i.e. they had been exposed to the substance via operant conditioning. The 1969 study, however, by using non-psychologically dependent animals who were naive to the effects of the drugs, showed that addiction in this case was chosen by the subjects to keep themselves under the influence, much like how humans can continue their dependency even after the face of negative ramifications such as familial, social and monetary problems stemming from their addiction, although a course of withdrawal also acts as punishment for not continuing to take the drug. What they also found was that not all monkeys began self-administration and needed the automatic doses to become hooked. This shows that some are more predetermined for addiction than others, much like in humans. By making use of cocaine and amphetamine in the study, it was shown that addiction is more likely caused by a psychological rather than physiological means, as both these substances don't create a physical dependence. Now these results are very interesting and help provide a greater illumination of drug addiction, but it was controversial, not in its results, but in its method. The experiment isn't cited in multiple most unethical studies lists for a reason. Now, I did mention Harry Harlow earlier in the video, and the criticism of this study and Harlow's work follow pretty much the same lines. That is the unethical use of animals, where they essentially were tortured and killed during the experiment through the creation of long-term drug exposure. Although the experiment hasn't had as much exposure as, say, the Pit of Despair and the Monkey Mother, the trauma inflicted on the animals is no lesser an affair. Seaver's career wouldn't be negatively affected by the study, and he would continue to use a similar setup to explore the link between nicotine and addiction. The study has become one of the keystone cases in anti-animal testing movements, as the experiment seemingly ignores the Helsinki Declaration, where the welfare of animals used for research must be respected. This is especially saddening as the results were essentially, in its most simple term, drugs known to be addictive are actually addictive. I'm going to rate this subject around a 4 on my ethical scale. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments. This is a Plain Difficult production. All videos on the channel are Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike licensed. Plain Difficult videos are produced by me, John, in a currently bright and sunny southeastern corner of London, UK. Help the channel grow by liking, commenting and subscribing. Check out my Twitter for all sorts of photos and odds and sods, as well as hints and future videos. I've got Patreon and YouTube membership as well, so check them out if you fancy supporting the channel financially. And all that's left to say is thank you for watching.